Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for coming along. It's great to see everyone here. Not 100% on what I'm going to be talking about today, but here we go. Yeah, I suppose I can just start and sort of give you a rough idea on where I sort of got for these pitches, and yeah, and then if there's any questions or anything at any point, feel free. These first two here were inspired. I sort of had the idea to work on a smaller scale with painting to sort of just improve my technique. And the idea of using the sacred geometry, which is, and this one is the Sri Yantra, which is the pattern in the background, which is the it's like the centre bindi represents the junction point between the physical universe and its unmanifested source, and then it's the connection between masculine and feminine divine. Yeah, and then this one with the Metatron's cube in the background, which is the blueprint for the universe and sort of the structure of atoms and everything, really. And the landscape scenes I've used, they're just sort of, I just created them, I guess, out of my head, but they're, I guess, inspired from, I'm from down the South Island originally, so they're sort of, I guess, growing up, just looking at the mountains and the landscapes around there, I sort of draw from that whenever I put sort of that stuff into my art. And actually, all of these have the similar sort of feel to them, where it was used as a warm-up exercise to loosen us up, where you, it's called like a blind contour, where you go around the figure, looking at the figure but not the page. And it just, yeah, to me it sort of sparked an interesting picture, so I decided to use that for the, instead of just the warm-up as the sort of main thing. So I'll just do an outline and go around it a couple of times so you get the sort of multi-faces and extra limbs here and there. Yeah, and then just fill it in from there. So it's sort of a way to keep things interesting for me.
Yeah. Cool.
Is there any style that belongs to? I mean, is there an influence there?
Well, I guess, there's a lot of, it's, slightly different style, but, I like a lot of Francis Bacon and, the sort of way he distorts the face and has sort of the movement in it where you get, from you have an ear here and spiking around with an eye over the other side. And, so I like that, and it's, to me, it's sort of, it's almost like looking at a person and having sort of their spiritual self as well, like not, so it's sort of the physical being and whatever else you want to call it around them.
You've really captured a lot of emotion there. What goes through your head when you're creating or making a portrait of somebody?
I try not to think too much. It generally comes out better when I don't think about it. So yeah, you always just overthink things. And
Do you find it easier to do someone's portrait when you don't know a person, or when you know a person? Like if it's someone close to you, it's going to be more complicated for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you find it? Because you start thinking like,
you
know
have
the things
yeah.
about the person.
Yeah, I definitely find that. And but then also, I think you get a certain feel from people, like just meeting the models beforehand, and you sort of, I find there's some people that it's just you sort of you have there's some kind of connection that you get, and just a feeling from that. So that kind of just comes out subconsciously, I think. Moving down. Yeah, so basically these five along here all sort of, I guess it's well, together they're all sort of based around, it was actually a time in my life where I was, before I came to Toyora, I sort of went through this transitional period of trying to find myself, I guess, and, having someone else, fall in love, and then having that sort of, you feel like you're doing all right and you're happy, but really it's just a cover up and sorting out who you are and finding yourself. So, I guess it's loosely based around that whole idea, and then the idea of you have to find yourself and who you are before you can add to anyone else's life. Which, thankfully, Toyora has definitely helped me find who I am and give me some kind of direction.
Why are the figures? What's behind the figures being distorted like that?
Because I guess it's. I don't want to sort of do it too, try and make it realistic, because then it starts representing someone. I'd rather just have it, this is, so it's not about anyone in particular. Anyone could look at this and, see there's, the female figure escaping the male, leaving him in his picture to sort of, tear himself apart, I guess. With the, and then that sort of, there's like the ghost face from this, which is sort of, trying to hold on to that, not letting it go.
You use a lot of trees and what have you in your work. I mean, there's a tree upside down in that picture there. I was wondering what was behind that.
I don't know why that ended up upside down. Just happened that way. But again, I like the idea of that we're all connected with everything. So there's that the human and nature. That sort of we're all connected and it's all the same thing. So I try and put in I like to put both of those things into most of my images. I don't know what else to say. Any more questions?
Just with the painting, the particular choice of using that frame, just kind of take it back to the frame of the picture.
Oh, the frame used?
Yeah.
Long story about that one. Because it was on a canvas the same as this one, actually, and it was in the back room, and there was a mishap, and it ended up with a tear in the bottom. And we just went through a process to get it stretched onto a board, and then they sort of gave us a few different frame options, and that one seemed to work well with the picture. Probably is this one. No particular reason, I guess. This, it was also one of my favourites. Just I like the darkness that you have to sort of look into it before you can see everything in there, and it sort of forces you to come back and.
Did you get any inspiration for that work? I mean, it looks like a sort of a Tony Thomason-esque type of work. Did you have a look at his, or is this totally?
Actually, I only, I'm not sure. I guess inspiration comes from everywhere. So you see something and that might sit in the back of your mind, but you're not thinking about that when you're creating something. It's just sort of comes up on its own. So unsure. I mean, I enjoy like surrealism, and that was sort of one thing that got me back into, I guess, the art and wanting to do it again, because I did a lot when I was younger, and then just stopped for a long time, and then it was when I first found out about sort of the surrealists and started looking at those pictures again, it just sparked something in me, and that was sort of why I sort of, I try and use that.
Rather than moving people up here, I thought I'd start from down here.
Good decision. So I will have to move on a different room.
This isn't in any chronological order, it's sort of a hodgepodge of dates and these pictures here, well firstly, the reason why they're on a smaller scale, this is a smaller scale than what I'm used to doing. I used to do great big pieces of paper and use rollers and that kind of thing to put my message across. I also used to do a lot of word paintings that were sort of very aggressive, very loud, almost obnoxious, and sometimes a little bit funny as well.
That's right.
Since about 2010 or 2011, I've wanted to do works on a smaller scale, so I can not necessarily work on my technique as Toby is, but try to see if I can condense a feeling or an issue down into one very small piece of work, and try to make it more subtle as well, more ambiguous as well, because in my previous works it was very much, I was very literal, and so I wanted a little bit more ambiguity so the person who was looking at it could make their own mind up about what it says and how it says it and the aesthetic of it. The only thing, to me, the only thing that a picture has to do is be aesthetically interesting to the eye. It has to somehow work. It doesn't necessarily have to mean anything, doesn't have to say anything. I think Oscar Wilde said art exists for itself, it's self-indulgent. So that's the way I look at my pictures anyway. These ones here, the thin lines I've used in these ones, there, and one up there, are like palisades on a Māori pa, and this sort of slight kuru-like designs, the swirling circle of life. This is to represent the St George's Cross that represents England. These are basically the same, using palisades as a central core theme. From those, I went to these, which again show the palisades, but they're a little bit more ambiguous. And there's a hint of a landscape there behind the palisades. Someone also said they're a little bit like stitches, which is interesting to me. This is, of course, someone behind the palisade, whether they're imprisoned or defending the fort or the pa is again up to question. This one's pretty literal, I guess. It's again someone defending the pa or the house or the fort, and he's got his penis hanging out as well to show that really masculine kind of, defender of the fort, the defender being a masculine figure, I guess. These ones were actually part of this series, really, with the three framed pictures down the end there. They started out like this and sort of merged into those ones down there. So I sort of found those shapes interesting in the sense that they're quite organic and in a way quite airy and simple as well. Again, they don't actually mean very much in a way. landscape type situation, landscape type feeling to it. These ones here, it's funny, Toby talking about the masculine and the feminine. I have the feminine in the sewing, which is quite a creative, gives quite a creative sense, and then the burning represents the fire of masculinity, and out of that comes new renewal, new life, I guess. And this is a comment on, again, the masculine and the feminine, with the sewing and the flower and the little soldier in there, talking again about, going back to this one, about either defending or attacking or being aggressive or those kind. But you know, it goes back to the bigger paintings I did where it was talking about all of this sort of stuff, but on a much bigger scale and mostly with words. So that, I hope, sort of gets a message across in a more subtle way. So yeah, as I say, these pictures, we'll get to that one later. But these pictures are a hybrid of those pictures up there. And again, I just wanted to create a sense of the earthy colours of the landscape, and also shapes that you might see in the land, whether it's an urban environment or a rural environment. If we come down here to these paintings here, it's a bit of a mixture. You know, this is one of my favourites here, number 54. But again, this picture here, number 55, is a landscape with the Palisades and the foreshore. It's all very sort of stylised in the sense that this represents the waves, and that's a mountain in the background, and these are sort of fences up to stop you from either connecting with nature or to keep you inside the natural bounds. These ones here, I really like this one. Again, it's that sewing aspect that I really enjoy. I find the sewing is really calming. And in my previous paintings, I didn't have any of that calm. I had, you know, a lot of passion, a lot of anger, a lot of, you know, unbalanced emotions. And this really brings me back, centres me, and allows me to just do the very simplest point. I think I heard you, Mira, the other day say sometimes we try and say too much and try to say, you know, make various different points. But it's nice just to pare that back and get down to one point, and that's what I hope I achieved with this. These are again a hybrid of these three down here, which are a hybrid of the ones at the end, so this is another step, I guess. These are the most recent ones I've done. And this one here, number 63, is a painting I did back in 2008, and it relates to respecting your elders. Taringa, of course, is the ears. Rua refers to there being two ears, and there being one mouth, the waha, and mama and papa being the older figures with your tipuna, your ancestors as well. So I hope that conveys a message. Again, it's quite literal. And these three here, some people don't like them, and some people do. I don't quite know what I was thinking with these. They came very quickly, and there's no, how would you put it, Mira?
I don't know, I think they remind me of your previous work, like they are more emotional, less...
They're less cerebral.
Yes.
Yeah. I did these before I went into hospital, so I think I was sort of on the downward spiral.
Because I remember when you did it and how you did it, so
Yeah.
I have that, you know.
Yeah, that's right. So again, these ones as well, the hibiscus flower. They're also about warmth. You've got the fire there that's hot, and then you've got the hibiscus flowers which only grow in warm, moist climates. And the sewing, which I think is quite a warm pursuit, you do in front of the fire, you do it in a nice cosy place. So that's also what those are about as well.
And James, what is this little concept of pen?
Well, I was going to put a pen on one side and a sword on the other, but I thought that was going to be too literal. But essentially it's about the pen being mightier than the fire, being mightier than the flower, and it in itself provides renewal. You can write your own chapter in history. So that's really what that means. Any more questions?
Can I ask a question, James?
Yeah.
You're very brave going straight down on raw canvas. Not many people do that, Bill Hammond. But you do it, and you.
I just like the texture of it. I don't like the prep side because it's a bit smoother and it doesn't take, these ones are done with pastel, so they don't take the pastel quite as easily. It seems to me the unprepped side seems to absorb the pastel a little bit better than
But I'm talking about your confidence and going straight down on a raw canvas.
yeah.
Not many people do that. How do you?
No, it's. I just have to do it. You know, I don't know if I sense. Yeah, I suppose it is confidence in a way because I've got nothing to lose. I'm not famous or anything like that, so you know those guys have plenty to lose, but I don't. And so I just do it. Yeah. Shall we close it up?
You mentioned you're going to come back to the other scorched one, and obviously it features a lot.
Oh yes.
Can you just ask one question
Yeah.
while we are still here with that? Basically, needlework is calming because you have that repetition that calms you down and gives you some almost meditation. But on the other side, needlework is kind of culturally close to female side. And first time, I know it for a while back, I have hibiscus flowers, I have needlework. I have a feeling that you get deeper in analyzing yourself and touch even a little bit of that feminine side that you all guys, sorry, have it.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Do you feel
that's,
that?
yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it.
Just little,
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I
niche of
think
that.
that's. I think I am in touch with my feelings. I still like rugby. No, but I have a real appreciation now of those things, and also with the sewing and crochet and those sorts of things. Were male? No, I don't. But I wouldn't mind. You know, years and years and years ago, 200 years ago, it used to be a male pursuit with naval people and what have you. They had to sew their own stuff and they crochet and so on and so forth. And then somehow in the 19th century, I guess it gets captured by the Sheilas. And I don't quite know how that happened. I suppose because you know it was a craft pursuit and women were at home and that sort of thing.
Don't worry, all the top people are still guys.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I was going to get back down to this one. Which one was it? Yeah, this one it's calico, and this I don't know what you call it, but it came off a curtain. It's a piece of a curtain. It's quite elastic and what have you. And I really wanted to show, in a sense, how the simple art of material in sewing combines with the strange kind of plastic, unreal, inorganic kind of stuff that gets tacked on. And obviously it has a utility, it has a practical side to it as well. So it's a prosaic kind of work, I hope.
I really like that you're using recycled objects in your art and that making them a feature of that art. I think it's quite marvellous.
It's something that I do consciously. There are a few paintings like these paintings, pictures here.
And particularly
and
like
here.
adding little things like this little soldier bag
Yeah.
that you pointed out before. I really like that you're using materials that usually one doesn't associate with art, like the back of the character, like the little toys. I really like the way you're doing that and kind of drawing attention to the things that people more often throw away. So I think it's great.
Cheers. Cheers. Yeah, I use a lot of curtain material that I get from op shops or that's thrown away and what have you. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so now you kind of looked at art sort of on small canvases and compared to the large. Do you have a favourite now? Or
Yeah, I think I like the smaller better.
Yeah.
Because it really somehow focuses your attention on just doing one thing and doing it really, really well and consciously. And I really like the sewing. I've moved away from the sewing a bit, but it's something that I want to get back to. And it's just, one of the things that govern my pictures is the availability of materials. I had canvas, dirty canvas that I used, and that was great. It fell off the back of the truck somewhere. And the curtain material I like to use, that's a finite thing. So I move with the materials I have, and so that recycling thing is really important to me. It's a real value, I think.
Sure. Being able to see the value in something that somebody else has thrown away and to make something beautiful of that is so important.
Yeah.
In a world that's got so much finite resource that people, artists, can see something in what people have thrown away. It's really important. So good on you.
That's right, thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions? Thank goodness for that.
Thank you very much, James. That's fantastic. We have scored a barbecue, so it'll be up and running right any second now. So if people want to wait a little bit and have some lunch with us, that'll be really lovely. So again, Toby and James, thanks so much for this opportunity to hear about your work, and also for everyone that's come along. It's been really heartening to see a great turnout, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.